Lucas got a half of a butterfly wing tattooed on his chest. I was a bit jealous and asked if it was a couple's tattoo with his ex. He said he just thought it looked cool when he was younger. I joked about getting the same one so we could have matching tattoos. He hugged me and said no, that tattoos are too painful. I secretly went to a tattoo parlor to surprise him by getting the other half of the butterfly wing. But I saw the tattoo I imagined on the shop owner's collarbone. Seeing that tattoo made me instantly associate her with Lucas. "Your tattoo looks amazing," I said. The tattoo artist, with her long black hair and gentle smile, looked eerily similar to Lucas's ideal type he described when I was pursuing him. "Really?" "He said it was nice too," she replied. She was casually checking the time on her phone, and I happened to glimpse her wallpaper. It was a picture of her and a young Lucas. Suddenly, it was like a flood of jealousy and bitterness in my heart. I remembered Lucas mentioning his first love when he was drunk. Can you believe such coincidences exist in the world? "I'm sorry. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'll skip the tattoo for now," I said, not wanting to reveal any emotions in front of her. I left without looking back. Back home, I waited for Lucas to get off work like usual. We met through a set-up date. We were a good match socioeconomically, and I fell head over heels for him. He was easy to pursue. We've only been married for less than a month and we're still in that honeymoon stage that everyone envied. People said Lucas always seemed distant and polite to everyone except me. To them, he was the perfect husband. Lucas got home and his first move was to hug me. "Work was tough today. I need a recharge." But this time, I forced a smile, suppressing tears. "Lucas, I went ahead and got the same tattoo as yours," I said. "I want us to have matching ones." His expression froze, and his tenderness vanished. "Who told you to do that? You can't get that tattoo. You can get anything but that." He anxiously grabbed my wrist, gripping tightly without caring if it hurt. "Where did you get it? We need to get it removed tomorrow." This was the first time Lucas was impatient with me. I pretended ignorance, playfully speaking the truth. "What's the big deal? Is it really a couple's tattoo with your ex? Why are you so worked up?" Lucas seemed guilty and denied it. "Lucas, I'm joking. You worry I'd be hurt, so of course, I wouldn't get it." Lucas looked relieved, like a heavy weight was lifted off his shoulders. This was our first Cold War. Before moving to the study, the last thing he said was, "Vivian, I don't like jokes like that." Then, maybe from guilt, he added, "I just don't want you to hurt your body. It pains me. You care if I get a tattoo because it hurts, but you didn't hesitate to tell me to remove it?" Lucas wasn't good at lying. His eyes always wandered when he did. This confirmed that something was really off with Lucas. I investigated the tattoo shop owner, Nancy, who was married. I found her social media and in one photo I saw Lucas's left hand with the ring I designed for our wedding. And worse yet, it was a live photo with Lucas's voice saying, "Nancy, I peeled the shrimp for you." All my suspicions were confirmed. Lucas was cheating on me. My heart felt heavy and pained, filled with an inescapable bitterness. And there was the resentment, too. Nancy should have recognized our rings match. Did she always know I was Lucas's wife? Not long into the Cold War, Lucas moved back to our bedroom. I was already sleepless, and he hugged me tight from behind. "I've missed you. You used to be the one to make the first move. But now, you haven't asked me back to bed for so long. I'm sorry. It's my turn to apologize. I was wrong for how I spoke to you that night." He kissed my cheek. "I've been thinking about it, and didn't you say last week you wanted kids?" "I agree. Let's not fight, okay?" His hands began to wander. I held them to stop him. "No. You know I'm scared of pain. Having children is painful. Let's stick with what you wanted, no kids. Being married to the wrong person isn't so bad as long as there are no kids tying you down." Once there are kids, it's hard to completely break ties with Lucas. When there's a blemish in a relationship, I always prepare to leave. Lucas might not care about purity, but I do. The hardest part of withdrawing from the honeymoon phase is the dull pain. I'll make sure Lucas feels the same pain. Maybe it was fate or karma, but a new intern named Mike joined the design team and took an interest in me. Mike kept trying to buy me coffee for days. One night while I was working late, Mike offered to drive me home. But it happened to be the day Lucas decided to pick me up as a surprise. "You're married?" Mike asked, faux disappointment in his tone. I took Lucas's arm and flashed my wedding ring at Mike. "Can't you see? I designed this wedding ring myself." "Lucas, this is Mike, a new intern in my design group." Lucas greeted him politely, maintaining his gentlemanly demeanor. "This is my husband Lucas. He used to be a university professor, then left to start his own business, and now he's the young CEO of a successful company. Mike, focus on work, and maybe you can reach Lucas's accomplishments someday." As soon as we were in the car, Lucas dropped his gentlemanly act. He stopped the car on the side of the road, leaned in to kiss me, but I turned away. His eyes reddened. "Why are you avoiding me?" "I get jealous super easily." "Can you make it up to me? Is it true that people would kiss someone they don't love?" Turns out, Lucas can do it. "Lucas, I had a long day at work today. Can you please cut me some slack?" The disappointment on Lucas's face was obvious. So, I offered him what he really wanted. "How about I let you go have drinks with your buddies tonight?" Lucas said he wanted to stay with me, but his actions spoke otherwise. When we got home, he even sprayed on some cologne before heading out. Once Lucas left, I headed off to that tattoo shop. When I walked in, Nancy's look was a mix of surprise, glee, and challenge. Then Lucas's familiar gentle voice came from behind her. "Didn't expect a customer this late." I stood there quietly. I had pictured this kind of scene a million times. But when it actually unfolded, I still couldn't stop the ache in my heart. I needed time to process it. Lucas had already taken off his suit and was wearing an apron, holding a ceramic fruit platter, looking very much like the perfect husband. Quite ironic, really, my model husband, ready to take care of someone else's wife. When he saw me, the platter crashed to the floor. "Vivian, why are you at a place like this so late?" Lucas asked. I still have feelings for Lucas. But having feelings doesn't stop me from making decisions. "Am I not allowed here?" I asked. "I visited before. The owner is pretty, and her butterfly tattoo, the same as yours, is lovely. That's why I came back." Watching Lucas instinctively shield Nancy, my heart went numb from pain. "Lucas, how many times have you visited?" I don't know if it was just my imagination, but as my tears fell, I thought I saw regret and panic in Lucas's eyes. He quickly took off his apron and rushed to grab my wrist, as if afraid I would run away. "Vivian, listen to me. It's not what you think. Nancy is my first love, nothing more. Her husband mistreats her, and I can't stand it." I cried quietly. I'd held it in for days, and now I found the moment to let it out. "Lucas, I guess I didn't know you well enough," I said. "I didn't realize you were so compassionate." Lucas held me in his arms, trying to explain urgently in my ear, "I didn't cheat. I never slept with her. I wouldn't cheat with a married woman, and not even an unmarried one. Vivian, please believe me." Nancy's face paled further at his candidness. "What, you want me to praise your self-control? To me, cheating isn't just about physical acts. I hate physical cheating, but emotional cheating is even worse." That's when I realized Nancy had always been part of my and Lucas's marriage from the beginning. When Lucas and I were drinking one time, I asked him about his first love. Lucas said, "She was really good to me, but we can never go back." I thought he meant because he was married, there was no chance for them. But now I see he might have been dismayed, not because of marriage, but because Nancy got married too soon for them to have a shot. Lucas once said, "She's so good, even married, lots of guys are drawn to her." It wasn't just bragging about being loved by a great woman. It was jealousy over her having other men around her. That night, Lucas was extremely cautious, constantly apologizing and trying to make it up to me when we got home. I just felt uneasy. He claimed he hadn't cheated, yet he was guiltier than actual cheaters. Nancy soon reached out to meet me alone. "Miss Vivian, I'm sorry for intruding on your life with Lucas. You two haven't been married for long, and I shouldn't have accepted Lucas's gestures." There was a silent air of superiority mixed with timidity in Nancy. "I didn't invite you to assert myself," she continued. "I just hope you won't miss out on a good man like Lucas because of me." "A good man? I've got plenty of good men like Lucas around me. I chose Lucas simply because I happened to like him." Just then, Lucas called. I answered but said nothing, and Nancy didn't seem to notice. She thought I was easy to manipulate and let loose. I married too early and already have a child. I've let Lucas down and can't give him happiness anymore. "Miss Vivian, you're the best choice for Lucas. I hope you can take care of him for me." But from what I know, Nancy and Lucas broke up because his family thought her background wasn't good enough. It was Lucas who let her down, not the other way around, no matter how she tried to spin it. I pretended not to know anything and deliberately said during Lucas's call, "Miss Nancy, I believe in Lucas. He's just taking care of you out of kindness. He told me you've had a rough few years, with a husband who drinks and gambles and kids who can't go to school. So, it's only right he helps you out." Nancy seemed surprised by what I said. When I laid the truth out there, she lost face, but there was a flash of thrill in her eyes. That's when I pretended to just notice Lucas's call and picked up the phone. "Lucas, I just noticed you called. Don't worry about me. I'm at Miss Nancy's shop, and I'll be home soon. Don't let your mind wander, I'm not with any other man." As I spoke, I quietly observed Nancy's ever-changing expressions and little gestures. Then I put on an act of being timid. "Lucas, I don't mean to cause trouble for Miss Nancy. I'm just scared she'll take you away from me. But now, it seems Miss Nancy really is as good as you say, so I'm not afraid anymore." Lucas didn't even dare to come pick me up from the tattoo shop, as if he was afraid to get tangled up with Nancy again, losing his usual confident demeanor. My best friend came to see me after getting off work at the law firm. She asked why I was being so polite to Nancy, and I patiently explained. "Divorce is inevitable. And since you're my go-to lawyer for divorce cases, I'll make sure you get the highest commission. But Lucas hasn't actually cheated, so if we divorce, he'll get half my assets. That would mean not only is he emotionally cheating and getting on my nerves, but he's also taking my money. I can't let that happen. So I'm creating opportunities for him to actually cheat. The more I act weak and afraid of him leaving, the more he'll drop his gentleman act and openly get involved with that woman. Then I'll gather some real evidence of his affair, and he'll be out with nothing. On top of that, I faked an ultrasound because, until I'm completely ready to walk away from this marriage, I don't want Lucas touching me under the guise of being my husband." When I got home, I pretended to make peace with Lucas. "Lucas, the doctor said I'll never be able to have kids." Lucas showed no emotion, so I added, "But the lucky thing is, I'm pregnant, 2 weeks. Suddenly, Lucas was crying tears of joy. He never planned on having kids, but hearing he might actually have one made him hug me tightly. His change of heart felt a bit fake. After catching Lucas emotionally cheating, I realized I'd always seen him through rose-colored glasses. His true nature was more phony than I'd thought. I patted his back, pretending to be vulnerable. "Lucas, I really care about this child. You're the father, I can't accept the kid not having a dad. So stay with me, don't go to her, don't leave me, okay? People are strange, the more you're forbidden from something, the more enticing it becomes." Lucas agreed and even stayed home for a week, not going to the office, just looking after me. Lucas was the one waiting for me when I got home. Tonight I had to work late again, and Mike, who'd been quiet for a few days, started bothering me once more. He expressed interest in me. Vivian, I don't care that you're married. As long as you give me a chance. I looked at Mike, unable to hide my disgust. I'm really curious, what's the mindset of people like you who want to break up families? Don't you understand shame or morals? Mike was stunned, unable to answer when I called him out in front of everyone. What exactly do you like about me? That I've got money? That I'm good looking? Or do you like my position and want me to help you get a permanent job? Mike, stop thinking about things you shouldn't. If you want to stay on the design team, work hard. Mike couldn't meet my eyes anymore. Around then, the private detective I had hired finally sent me some photos, Lucas and Nancy in a passionate kiss. Couldn't hold it in anymore, huh? If your crush constantly shows up and acts all pitiful, it's understandable to lose control. During the days Lucas didn't go to the company, he'd go off to see Nancy, then pretend to be the perfect husband when I came home from work at dusk. I even found Lucas's secret social media account. He wrote there anonymously about the regret of losing his love. Only Nancy followed that account, all about their younger days and matching tattoos. I even saw a post he wrote on our wedding night. Today I got married and imagined the bride was you. Nancy, you saw my wedding invite, right? I saw you sneaked into the ceremony. That was the only way I could think of to make you sad one more time. If I treat her well, does it make you jealous? At that moment, I lost all hope for Lucas. We weren't just a couple, his company only got running with my family's investment. So, even if Lucas didn't love me, he didn't want a divorce, because what he really feared was I'd be the one divorcing him. But with the sweet talk I've been laying on him lately, he's convinced himself I'm utterly in love with him. So much so, I'd be a weak woman for him. He's sure this non-existent child will keep me tied to him. I kept the private detective on Lucas, scared I'd miss any evidence of his infidelity. When I got home, I deliberately showed Lucas the photos Nancy sent and accused him. Lucas, you told me you didn't cheat. I've loved you so much, how could you do this to me? How can I trust you in the future? What gives you the right to peel shrimp for another woman? Do you just take for granted that I can't leave you, so you get to mess around? With that, I smashed all the expensive vases in Lucas's study, along with our wedding photo. Finally, Lucas lost his normally impeccable temper. Vivian, you're pregnant, not crazy. If you love breaking things so much, do it alone while I'm out. Lucas grabbed his coat and left me alone at home. Just then, my private detective messaged me. Lucas had driven off to Nancy's place. After a wife turns into a madwoman, of course Lucas would go looking for his sweet, gentle first love. Unfortunately for him, Nancy has a husband and doesn't dare bring Lucas home. They resort to comforting each other at a hotel instead. My private investigator is really dedicated. In the middle of the night, he snapped photos of a steamy scene where the two forgot to close the curtains in their hotel room. I called Lucas and hit the record button. The first call was answered by Nancy, who, for once, showed her true colors. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you guys. You should blame Lucas. I'm married, but he can't seem to stay away from me like some lovesick puppy. Miss Vivian, does it even matter how well off you are? With just a simple gesture, Lucas would leave you and choose me. Nancy kept taunting, but you don't have to worry. I am too lazy to compete with you for a man. I have plenty of men around me, and Lucas is just one for fun. Does having a cheating man make you feel superior? I clenched my phone tightly, holding back my anger, and planned my next move. Later, I made many more calls, but they went unanswered. When Lucas returned the next morning, I pretended to be tired, sitting on the couch with red eyes staring at him. He initially ignored me, so I spoke with a sorrowful tone. The baby is gone. The eye drops I had prepared in advance were useful. I made it sound like I had fallen and called him, but he didn't answer. I was in so much pain that I had no strength and waited for him for a long time. Eventually, it was the neighbor who took me to the hospital. The pregnancy was fake, and losing the baby was too. Lucas froze in disbelief, his eyes full of shock and sadness. Recently, He had high hopes for a non-existent child, buying all the baby essentials early and even setting up a nursery. Though at first, he didn't want kids, he eventually warmed up to the idea of becoming a father. I cried and blamed him. Where were you yesterday? Why didn't you pick up my calls? If you hadn't left me, I wouldn't have fallen. Even if I did, I could have received immediate care. Lucas, you promised to take care of me. Why did you leave me alone? As I spoke, tears streamed down my face, and Lucas was filled with remorse. His tears matched mine, and he frantically tried to comfort me. I'm sorry, honey, I'm sorry. I accidentally put my phone on silent. Lucas rummaged through the call log. I noticed that the first call had been deleted. He expressed regret. I should have understood your mood swings during pregnancy. I shouldn't have argued with you. It's my fault for leaving you alone yesterday. Lucas was fast asleep in a hotel with Nancy when he missed my calls. Whether he was genuinely remorseful or not, I just wanted a reason to vent my frustration. Even more, I needed to express the resentment of my sincerity being taken for granted. It is indeed your fault. You killed your baby. Now, we will never have children. I used all my strength to hit and kick him. He made no effort to defend himself. Lucas, this marriage really has become meaningless. My model husband can't even protect me and our baby. What's the point of our marriage? Lucas sensed my thoughts of divorce. I felt Lucas hug me tighter, his cold tears landing on my neck. In the past, it might have made me feel sorry for him. But now, it's just sickening. It's my fault. You can hit me, yell at me. I accept it all. Just don't leave me, Lucas spoke with tears, unwilling to divorce. To me, it seemed like he couldn't leave because my family had helped him a lot. Ever since I hinted at the possibility of divorce, Lucas hasn't sneaked away to see Nancy. He even got rid of his butterfly tattoo. The tattoo was a shared design with Nancy, but she's in the past. It's over between us. Perhaps out of fear of me bringing up divorce, he became more clingy than when we first got married. Lucas even began studying health recipes, constantly worrying I'd have any after effects from losing a baby. While lying in Lucas's arms and reading together, I suddenly asked, Lucas, between the people you've loved, who did you love more, me or Nancy? Lucas's hand trembled as he hurriedly explained, since marrying you, I only love you. With Nancy, I just feel guilt. If you don't believe me, I'll delete her contact right away or do whatever you wish. I was tired of listening to this and interrupted. All right, enough talk. I suddenly find it pointless to ask such things. You keep taking care of Nancy like before. After all, you're the perfect husband. Caring for someone else's wife must be easy for you. I had wanted to sarcastically dig at him for a while. Lucas held me tight and desperately said, whatever you want to know, I'll tell you. Believe me, I won't hide anything from you. Full of lies, Lucas's fibbing no longer made him blush or skip a beat. Since Lucas had nothing truthful to say, I figured my lying wasn't uncalled for. Silly, what are you worrying about? Why stress over things that will never happen? I love you, always have. Pretending to be clingy and treating Lucas particularly well, I waited until he genuinely believed I still loved him. Then, in the middle of the night, I moved out of our home. I want him to experience the drastic heartbreak of a divorce during the honeymoon phase and feel the pain I felt when I found out he betrayed me. I stayed overnight at my best friend's place and handed her the fee I had prepared. Get ready for the divorce case, I've had enough of playing the loving wife, I told her. Pretending to love him every second was torture. The night I got the crucial evidence, I finally felt relieved. With my leave pre-arranged, I slept in at my friend's house. When I woke up, there were dozens of missed calls from Lucas. I blocked him right away. Over those days of pretending to be in love, I'd already gone through my withdrawal. Now, I only felt disgust for Lucas. So it was time to exit painlessly. But soon, Lucas showed up at my friend's house. When I opened the door, he was far from his usual perfect self, unkempt with stubble and messy hair. Seeing me, he sighed in relief. I'm glad you're okay. I was so worried something happened to you. When I stayed silent, he started rambling. Did I do something wrong again? Did I upset you? I played the recorded phone call, exposing Nancy's real character to Lucas. Looks like your first love isn't as great as you described online. She was just stringing you along. He looked pale and betrayed. But with my next words, his distrust was replaced by confusion. That night I couldn't reach you, were you with her? Lucas shook his head but couldn't speak. Lucas, let's get a divorce. You leave with nothing. He fell to his knees, losing all CEO demeanor. Why so sudden? You said you couldn't do without me. You're joking, right? He continued sobbing, I'm sorry, it wasn't on purpose. That night I wasn't thinking straight, but I swear I didn't sleep with her. Please forgive me. I've already cut ties with her. Every day I regret reconnecting with her. I coldly thought, even now he was denying. Regret what? Not hooking up sooner? Or getting caught? Lucas shook his head desperately, eyes red. I feared he might pull a knife and attack me. I didn't cheat. I'm not scared of walking away with nothing. I fear losing you. What a joke. Lucas, you don't love me, so why fear losing me? He rushed to deny it. No, I do love you. I've never stopped loving you. I flipped through his inactive alt account, finding the last post from our wedding night. I read it to him. Today I got married, but during it, I imagined the bride was you, Nancy. Did you see my wedding invite? I saw you sneak in. This was the only way I could make you feel for me one last time. Anger surged as I read those words, each one an insult to me. Looking at Lucas, lips bloodless, guilt written all over him, I snapped, Lucas, if you can't lie, don't try. Go home and look in the mirror at your guilty, petty face. I can't believe I misjudged so badly, marrying a wolf in sheep's clothing. He kept an act of regret, probably believing it himself. Enjoy kneeling? Then kneel until security drags you. Lucas values face, so he couldn't endure that shame. He left quickly, faster than I expected. Lucas, as expected, refused to divorce. He thought if he was nice and persistent, it would soften like when I first caught him seeing Nancy. Despite his incessant messages, I kept it simple, divorce, you leave with nothing. He refused, so I had my friend tell him, see you in court. Lucas finally dropped the facade. Vivian, you have no proof I cheated. That recording proves nothing. A lawsuit is pointless. I refuse to divorce. Stop wasting your energy. I've kicked Nancy's family out of the city. Let's forget her and start over, okay? No proof. I'll present everything in court. Nancy's just a ruin of his past now. Men's affection, as fleeting as reflections, visible but untouchable. I thought Lucas might have held some youthful affection for Nancy. Clearly, I overestimated him. He loved the idea of a perfect first love, not her. Staying with him was nauseating and terrifying. Before court, Lucas went crazy slandering me. He teamed up with Mike, spreading rumors of my emotional affair during marriage. Lucas hinted to others that I was into Mike, with Mike, likely paid, playing along. Insinuating an emotional affair is a tricky tactic, it's hard to prove false. Lucas harassed me again, Vivian, everyone despises you now. No use explaining, only I can clear your name. Woman's reputation is crucial. Agree not to divorce, and I'll clear it up immediately. I saw it as his desperate struggle. I slapped Lucas hard in front of coworkers, and the gossip ended. Lucas stood stunned in front of me. I stayed in the company and made it to chief designer because of my skills, not because people spoke nicely about me. Even if everyone in the company turns their back on me, it doesn't change the fact that all the design firms out there are trying to recruit me. If you think you can ruin my reputation and destroy my career, go ahead and try. But as your spouse, I'm giving you a piece of advice, don't go too far with the rumors, unless you want more legal trouble on your hands. Honestly, all the gossip about me and Mike at the company doesn't bother me. I have my own ways to disprove them. I slapped Lucas today, which means he won't be showing his face around me for at least half a month. Lucas cares a lot about his image, so I'm sure he hated me for that slap. During the trial, Lucas hired a top-notch lawyer. My best friend and Lucas's attorney argued back and forth, and Lucas was confident he'd win. Vivian, stop messing around, don't make things harder for the court staff. You have no proof of my affair, and even if I was spiritually cheating, it's not grounds for divorce. Vivian, once court is adjourned, come home with me. I ignored Lucas, just staring at his lawyer. That's when I brought out the evidence a private investigator had gathered. This should be enough to prove Lucas's infidelity, right? Leaving the marriage with nothing seems fair now, doesn't it? It felt like I finally got a bit of justice for myself. The win at court was clear with the evidence I had. After leaving the courtroom, Lucas caught up with me, grabbing my wrist. Did you have someone follow me? You never trusted me, did you? Vivian, was your love for me a lie? I shook his hand off fiercely. Don't touch me, I told you, I have a cleanliness issue, mentally included too. In the days I pretended I wouldn't leave him, I finally resolved to divorce. All the pain eased before the separation, allowing me to be decisive now. I can openly admit that my judgment was terrible and that I've finally fallen out of love with Lucas. Sitting in the passenger seat of my friend's car, Lucas was unwilling to let it go, knocking on the window. Vivian. I just have one last question. Was your love for me a lie? Were you always ready to leave me? I rolled down the window, amused by his worn-out appearance, already picturing how he'd look after losing his company, falling from grace. You lied to me, I lied to you, we call it even. Refusing to believe it, Lucas pressed on, Vivian, you never answered me. Was your love for me a lie? Avoiding answering directly, I said, Lucas, we're divorced now. I don't owe you explanations, as I closed the window. After acquiring Lucas's company, I accepted high-price buyout offers from other firms. All the money I got, I donated to a welfare home and adopted a little girl I felt a connection with. I didn't need Lucas's money. I just wanted to have the last word. Soon, the list of those who passed their probation came out, and I was in charge of reviewing. I eliminated Mike, not out of personal reasons, simply because he wasn't capable enough. Rumors about me and Mike stopped in the company. They realized, if I could be so heartless to Mike, no way those rumors of an affair were true. But Mike, furious, confronted me. Why are you taking personal revenge on me? Why did you target me and get me removed? I just remembered when Mike teamed up with Lucas to accuse me of emotional infidelity back then. He even taunted me, you don't have proof that didn't happen first. I smiled at him. You don't have proof I'm being vindictive either. Who knows? Maybe you're so good I was just jealous? It was clear to everyone this wasn't the case, but at that moment, Mike might truly believe it. As long as he never faced up to his shortcomings, he would never be able to settle at any design firm. As I kept talking, I began to praise him, complimenting him excessively before adding, but, sorry, our design team just can't accommodate you. Mike, deeply inscribed with the thought of having talent that hasn't been recognized, eventually disappeared. I heard he hopped around many big companies as an intern but never stayed. Small companies interested in him weren't good enough for him. What became of Lucas was something I'd only come across much later, scrolling through his long-abandoned social media account by accident. All posts about Nancy were gone, replaced with words of longing for me and guilt over our non-existent child. This man was addicted to faking emotional depth. I blocked him promptly, avoiding any chance of seeing such nonsense again. I never remarried. I raised my adopted daughter well. She has a knack for design, just like me. Updates on Lucas came only through gossip during lunch with friends much later. Your ex-husband, because of all the embarrassment from his affair, got shunned by his family. They're training a new successor. Lucas tried starting businesses over the years, all failed. His family finally gave up on him. Unfazed, I listened. Around then, a call came in from an unknown number. I picked it up. It was Lucas's voice. "Vivian, could you come see me? I took a lot of pills. I'm in a lot of pain. Life feels meaningless without you. I really want to join our child. I'm afraid he's lonely without us down there. But before I left, the only thing I couldn't let go of was you. I wanted to see you one last time." This guy was really good at pretending to be all lovey-dovey. Finally, I told him the truth. "I never had your child, I made it all up. I just didn't want you to touch me. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I had to lie about it. Looking back, you did show some decency by feeling so guilty about a kid that never existed. Sorry about that." Right after I said it, there was silence on the other end, and I heard the ambulance. I knew it, Lucas didn't have the guts to go to hell. Before I hung up, Lucas lost it, screaming, "Vivian! You're lying again. You love me too much to lie to me." He went on, "I've been feeling guilty every single day because of that child. Are you trying to spare me from feeling more guilt? But see, you do care about me. You still love me, don't you? Before you stop loving me, you'll always love me, won't you? I knew it, you'll always love me more. Really, is it worth it, arguing about who stopped loving whom first?" Bottom line, I stopped loving Lucas first, and he just cracked. Who was he kidding with that lovey-dovey act? It's just noisy. Hanging up, I blocked him. My best friend gave me a thumbs up, but then asked, "So, you're never going to date again? Come on, have a rebound fling or something. Don't give up on love just because of your marriage with Lucas." But seriously, I'm not interested. I donated a large sum to an orphanage and suddenly became praised as a philanthropist. At work, I climbed the ladder on my own merit. That's my redemption. My redemption doesn't have to involve a man. Guys aren't the only highlight in my life. Lucas's epilogue. I was so good to Vivian. I tried my best to make it up to her. Why wasn't she satisfied? How dare she bring up divorce first? It should have been me when I stopped loving her. Vivian even made sure I left with nothing. She didn't really need the money. I thought she'd never be so cruel. I thought she'd care about how I was doing or feel bad if I was struggling. I even hoped that if I kept acting like I loved her, she'd give the company back to me. But she had already blocked me. She even sold off my hard work. Why? How could she, a woman living off my efforts, gain so much fame and fortune? How could I have fallen for such a woman? Now I see, she's the unworthy one. I haven't moved on from this relationship. How could she stop loving me first? Why does my heart feel so heavy? Is this heartbreak? I think this really was love. When I reunited with Nancy, I didn't plan to cheat physically. I knew Vivian was hard to deal with, so I couldn't let her divorce me. But I found a loophole with emotional cheating. I just wanted to make up for what I missed out on in my youth. Was that wrong? Vivian's temper was just as bad as when we first met. No matter how I tried to tame her, it was useless. I hate Vivian for taking everything from me, but I had an inexplicable desire to conquer her. To me, that desire meant love. I didn't like how strong she was, how smart she was, or how fierce she was at making money outside. I was supposed to be in charge. She shouldn't have taken my spotlight. But I can't deny, her family helped me a lot. Nancy tested the waters about me getting a divorce countless times. I just played along half-heartedly. Truth is, I couldn't leave. My business would collapse without Vivian. Besides, after getting married, I got used to Vivian being around. I realized I probably couldn't live without her. When she suddenly vanished from my world, I didn't know what to do. That's when I understood that Nancy was just a regret and a distraction when my desire to conquer Vivian was unsatisfied. Nancy was soft and fragile. Why couldn't Vivian bow her proud head, like Nancy, to please me? I paid Mike to help me, but Vivian didn't care about saving face at all. She'd rather be embarrassed than come back to me. As long as she came back, I'd let it all go. If she insists on being so headstrong, I'll make her drop that pride of hers one day. The day I kicked Nancy out of the city, she cried, saying I didn't understand love, that I was just acting. What a joke. I loved Vivian so much, and even loved the child we never had, and she couldn't see it? They used me as a backup, treating my spared love as gossip. And she calls me too much? It's like the pot calling the kettle black. After Nancy left, my life was finally quiet. I needed to start fresh. I wanted Vivian to regret it. But why? Why did every attempt fail? Even my parents gave up on me. I needed money, I needed more money to start over. Looking at the bottle of pills on the table, I thought of a plan. I'd see if Vivian would have a change of heart. She used to always soften up. She's got so much money, it wouldn't hurt her to help me, right? But I've taken so many pills already, and the ambulance is almost here. Why isn't Vivian coming to see me? How can she just stop loving me? How is that fair? She even said the kid was a lie, just an excuse to keep me away from her. Turned out I was the fool who fell for it. I was the idiot who believed I could tie cold-hearted Vivian down with a kid. She played me over and over, even had me videotaped. Now even the child was a lie. I worked so hard to show I was a loving father, and she destroyed it all. I hoped she'd see how much I loved the kid and soften up. Little did I know she was laughing, enjoying the show all along. Meeting Vivian was the unluckiest thing that ever happened to me. The doctors said I was crazy, locked me in the psych ward. They must be the crazy ones. They must be Vivian's minions sent to torture me. I must escape. I looked out the window, and I jumped. I have to get out. I have to find Vivian. I'll make her regret it. Why is my body in so much pain? Wasn't this the second floor? Why can't I move? Before I passed out, I heard chaos around me. How could this patient's condition be so severe? Jumped straight from the 12th floor? That room just got vacant. Heard it's quite spacious too, wonder who's next in line.